and you're watching Abundance Show on Global Abundance Organization television. Jim Gale is globally respected as permaculture evangelist, visionary entrepreneur, founder of Food Forest Abundance, an initiative that helps individuals and communities create self-sustaining edible landscape based in Orlando, Florida. Jim's work promotes decentralization of life essentials, decentralization of life essentials, food, water, energy, medicine, education, and money through powerful storytelling, hands-on systems like Freedom Farm Academy,
Yes.
Freedom Farm Academy, and strategic community building. Jim inspires lifestyle rooted in nature, self-reliance, and abundance. Abundance. He is also actively involved in Origins Reclaimed. Origins Reclaimed, a platform promoting essential wisdom and regenerative living. Jim envisions a world where schoolyards, prisons, parks, and communities are transformed into thriving food forests,
Yes.
turning consumers into producers and reclaiming sovereignty over life's basics. Jim, how are you doing?
Oh, Zafar, it's such a pleasure to be chatting with you all the way from Pakistan to Florida. The solutions that we are sharing elevate above all of the problems, all of the suffering, all of the governments, all of the wars around the world. When we come together with the simple, logical, joyful principle of sharing our abundance, of creating abundance, and then sharing that abundance. When we do that, we change the world. And so, what we're doing, we're talking about the simplest thing, right? Which is stewardship. In fact, what is the word? Do you know the word stewardship?
Yeah, we've got flight stewards.
Yes. And in your language over there in Pakistan, what is the word for stewardship or taking care of the land?
The one who are hosts. They are taking care of your everything: security, food, water, residence, boarding, lodging, and they are like your parents, your father, and like your mother.
Yes. Yes. So when we learn again to be the caretakers and the servants of the land and of nature, inshallah, right? Inshallah is God's design. It's the ultimate abundance creation system. When we love this system, God's system, Allah's system again, right? When we love that system, then the system loves us back exponentially. And I spent some time in Karachi, Pakistan, back about 25 years ago. And I've traveled and visited cultures all over the world. And we all want our kids to have good lives. We all want to be living in a system that has collaboration instead of competition, and joy instead of pain, and love instead of fear. And so, what we're talking about is coming together to create this world for each other. And then sharing that abundance is so important, right? Like, if we want to stop the world or the wars around the world, I have shared this with Bobby Kennedy and Donald Trump on many occasions. The best way to end war is to turn these military bases into food forests and then create these amazing systems and then share the seeds. Put down the guns and pick up shovels, right? Put down the bullets and pick up seeds and come together and create abundance, because abundance is the only thing that can supplant scarcity. and scarcity is the catalyst for war and suffering.
Amazing, Jim. I mean, today I think that I've got my prototype. I mean, I got another person like someone living in my heart for centuries. And abundance is really putting wars away and putting those all resources that we are putting into hellfire for killing each other into fruity forms and into ab- abundance of everything is possible, be it education, be it longevity, be it health, be it anything one can think. It's only possible through collaborations and working together and working for one goal. One of the person I love is Sheikh Sadi. He said the love is not looking at each other. Love is looking in one direction. So if we look in one direction and we can convert all resources to peace, prosperity, and abundance. So that's amazing. My question to you, Jim, what parked your journey into permaculture and food forests? Was
Yes.
there a specific aha moment?
Yes, there was the fire. You know, what got me here was a bunch of failures and desperation, right? Because about 18 years ago, I learned that the world is controlled by some sort of evil system, some sort of system that is from the top leading us into conflict and hatred and destruction. And when I learned that, I went through a period of scarcity and of fear because I had had my first two daughters. And what I saw was that if we continue down this path, then I might never have grandkids because all unsustainable systems fail. And the system of creating war and scarcity and poisons is unsustainable. And so I went into a period of fear and worry and concern. And then about 2 years into that, I read a quote from Bill Mollison. Bill was one of the founders of the science of permaculture, which is an agricultural design science that teaches us how to create abundance. And his quote was, "Though the problems of our world are increasingly complex, the solutions remain embarrassingly simple." And when I read that quote, I started to sob, and I decided at that moment that I am going to spend the rest of my life working on, playing with, demonstrating the solutions. So I was out on my deck here, and it just started to rain, right? But this is where I live now. And a couple of years ago, 4 years ago, I was dead broke. And now we are living completely off the grid, and we are surrounded by food everywhere. And this is God's design. This is all His design. It's a design of massive abundance. So now let's use the principles that we are taught, and let's come together. You know, Dr. Martin Luther King is one of my heroes. And he said, "Those who love peace must learn to organize as effectively as those who love war." So that's what Zafar, that's what you and I are doing. We are starting to share the message and organize effectively.
Well, I mean, what you've just, got the message that we converting the war into abundance and peace, and how's your mind, how your mind and heart resonates with the idea that how can we convert these all warriors into farmers?
Yes. Okay, so there's so many neat things happening, and I'll share a couple details with you. First of all, we know the solution. The solution to war and to suffering and to trauma is to serve the land and then use the abundance that's created to serve each other, right? So service is literally the solution, right? Let go of the hatred and let go of the programming, right? We've all been programmed in our minds by governmente. Govern means to control, and mente means mind, right? Government is mind control, control the mind. So we have to rise our awareness above, and we have to release the hatred that has been programmed into our minds about other people from the other side of the world who, according to the media, they're not really people. They're just hateful, blah, blah, blah. It's all BS. The truth is, and I've lived all over the world, people are generally the same. We have the same basic wants and needs everywhere. So let's first of all let go of the hatred and then stand in our truth. And then once we start this process of service, then what happens is people are so good that when you serve them, they want to serve you back. So the more people we serve, the better off we are.
Amazing, Jim. Honestly, today is my day, and I see as if I am seeing an angel. I am featuring an angel. Jim, if you're speaking my heart out. You're speaking 8 billion people's heart out. I have not seen one person whom I have been. It's been long time. I've been podcasting. A lot of people all around the globe. I could not find one person who is for war, who's not for abundance. I mean, you are 8 billion people's representative. Jim, you talk about decentralization, essential pillars of society: food, water, energy. How do you define true abundance?
I just look to nature. Nature defines true abundance by its very actions, right? Like I'll show you around here. So it's raining out, thank God. But inshallah, right? This system is a brand new yard. Our house construction just got completed. And in our yard, we have star fruit and aloe and three types of cherries and sugar cane and sweet potatoes and mangoes and lychees and longans and tamarind and plums and peaches and moringa and mulberries and citrus just in our yard. Now, in Pakistan, especially out in the country, this is normal. People are like, well, of course you do. That's just how we live. But in a lot of cities where the people are the most suffering, they have cut down the food forest. They have cut down God's grace and wisdom and replaced it with plants that are either non-productive or things that are dead, like parking lots. And it is so simple. When we simply love the soil and we build life into the soil again, it's an exponential free energy system that is created from that.
I'm amazed, and I've seen moringa in your courtyard. This is amazing because I mean you're growing everything there. This is amazing. How has your personal life changed since stepping fully into this mission?
Well, so it started out. I in back in when I was 35. I'm 55 now, and when I was 35, I retired from a business in the mortgage industry, and I had achieved like 1.3 billion dollars in gross revenue, and I had a lot of time and I had a lot of money, and I started studying the problem every day. And when I learned about the depth of the problem, I decided that I'm going to focus on the solution. So I invested everything I own into demonstrating the solution, into proving that there is a solution to war and to suffering and to trauma. And I ended up dead broke 4 years ago when the COVID pandemic started, about 5 years ago. I had invested everything I had into a new business to demonstrate this at a mall. And what happened was the COVID narrative, the governments came and they shut down the businesses. I then was dead broke and I was scared and I did not know what to do. And for the first time in my life, I truly stepped into faith. I let go of all my fear and I just asked God for help. And my belief is that I grew up in Minnesota. So the word that I was taught as a little kid to represent the creator of all that is, of life, the word that I was taught is God. After traveling the world, I've learned that there are many names to represent the creator, right? Allah and Buddha and Krishna, right? And every culture has different belief systems and different teachings. But there's one thing that brings us all together, and that is the glory of nature and of God's design, the abundance, the joy, just putting hands in the soil and building life is a healing event for individuals, families, and cultures.
Wow, each word is breathtaking. I mean, this is your life is suffocatingly beautiful. I mean, I can't breathe. This is so beautiful. I see the. I mean, where are you living? You're living in Jannah, man. You live in paradise. We say Jannah, but this is paradise. I mean, since you're sweet of you, it's amazing concept you have. What exactly is a food forest, and how is it different from a traditional garden or a farm?
So the Amazon rainforest is the most diverse and prolific food forest on earth, right? The Amazon was a designed and planted food forest about 5,000 years ago, right? The jungles in Kenya and in Pakistan, the forests in the mountains of Islamabad and different places, these are all food forests. Now, if we want to speed up time and we want to create the type of food forest that we want, then we design our land to have the types of diversity and of plants and crops that we like best. So when I look out at my landscape now, we have about 280 different types of food producing plants, right? We have like a dozen types of bananas. We have about 10 types of mangoes and avocados and everything else, right? So this is the key, is you start by building soil, right? They start by loving the soil because the soil is the foundation of life. And if the soil is dead, if the soil has poisons in it, or if it's exposed to the sun, then it will not produce life, right? So we start by building soil. And here's exactly how you do it. If you have sand or soil that is dead, you want to create earthworks. You want to create swales or things that can catch and store water, right? In a lot of Pakistan is very dry. And in those areas, you want to follow the techniques that have been proven in the deserts around the world, where they're taking these circles and making an indent in the ground, and they're putting crops in these circles that are really hardy and really strong in droughts. And then if it rains once every 2 or 3 years, the water will go into that circle and it will sink it, which slows it down and spreads it out in the land, right? You don't want to put your water in a concrete culvert and ship it off to the closest river or ocean. You want to store your water in the land itself. And then you make sure you create a ground cover, right? You don't ever want the soil directly exposed to the sun. You want a ground cover. So you could start with any type of biomass like mulch, right? And then you put the right plants in that mulch that can handle the sun. And every single leaf is a solar panel from God, right? Allah. And so you put the plants on the ground that take that sun's energy and transfer it into the soil. And then the plant grows and the soil heals. And then everything starts to build from there.
Oh man, you're breathtaking. Can you walk us through the food forest abundance offers from backyard design to the Freedom Farm Academy?
Yes. Yes, absolutely. So a lot of people have been programmed to believe that they don't have the knowledge or the time or the money or the space to grow food. But all of that is BS, right? Which stands for bad science or belief systems or bullshit, right? It's all wrong. It simply takes inspiration and action. So once you realize or make a decision that you are going to become a producer as well as a consumer, right? Like Gandhi said, be the change that you want to see in the world, right? And so once you decide, that's the first step, is deciding that you want to be part of the solution. Right. So I'll give you an example on this deck. This is a little deck here. Just on this deck, we are going to have 4 fruit trees, and they're going to be dwarf fruit trees. We are also going to have boxes with herbs and lemongrass on the sides, right? Because we just got done with construction. And the lemongrass and the herbs are what push away the mosquitoes. And other biting flies do not like the smell of herbs and lemongrass. So what we're talking about is a functional, natural solution to real problems, right? Nobody likes mosquitoes. So instead of designing GMO mosquitoes like Bill Gates is doing and dropping them from airplanes, we're going to put in God's design, Allah's solution for mosquitoes, and then we're going to have that here. And then just on this little deck, you could put sweet potato boxes, and you could produce a meal for your family every single day off this little space. Isn't that incredible? And then if you look at this, so this was a brand new yard, and we're going to put a pool here. But you can see the ground cover. There are probably 200 or 300 pounds of sweet potatoes in the ground here. And then there's plums and avocados and everything else. So we're going to keep adding more layers to this, more life to this. And over time, this yard will produce way more food than our family needs to thrive.
Oh my goodness, I mean, such a beautiful life you're leading. You're well knit and you're into the nature, and nature is in you. This is beautiful. What are some of the most inspiring success stories you've seen from your clients or community?
Well, we have worked. There's a church, a pastor at a local church. We invited him here. He currently has the biggest church in the area, and surrounding his church is a 5-acre lawn, right? The lawn, which we have a lot more here in the United States than you have in Pakistan, is a silly thing. It is ridiculous. And so I shared with the pastor the idea of stewardship, of caring for nature the way Allah or God intended. And he got it. And he got so excited that I gave him some plants. I gave him a sweet potato vine. I said, go take this, kick a hole in the ground and put this in the ground and kick some dirt over it and let's see what happens. He sent us pictures 2 months later, and his sweet potatoes were going crazy. So then what he did is he had a couple sermons at his church, and he told everybody, he said, Jim and Chris is my partner on the land. He said, they're outside. We had a truck full of sweet potato starts. And he said, after church today, I want you to go out and grab some sweet potatoes and go home and plant them. And over 100 families from that one thing are now growing food that were not growing food before. That's one massive exponential growth thing that happened. Another one was we have a local school here, and we had some extra funds and a team. So we took the team and we bought a bunch of fruit trees, and we came together and we planted a food forest at the local school. So now the children have healthy snacks to snack on every day.
Amazing. Each story is so heartening and heart touching. I would love to keep hearing. How can developing countries like Pakistan benefit from your model?
Well, it's not my model, right? It's God's model. I'm just aware of it. And through awareness, then we spread, right? So, what everybody could do is take a piece of your land or a piece of your home or a piece of your deck and create a box or start growing some food. And then what happens once we have a surplus and abundance, then share it, right? But the principle of give them a fish or teach them to fish, right? Is we don't just give people a sweet potato. We give people a sweet potato that has some spuds coming out of it and say, cut that off, eat that part, but take that part and put it in the ground. And then within 6 months, now they've got 50 pounds of sweet potatoes because nature did the job that's intended. So the number one thing that everybody can do is come together around supporting each other and supporting local farmers and local growers, right? That you're already, believe it or not, Pakistan is already way better off than the United States is because you already have a decentralized food supply chain to some degree. Here in the United States, we don't. Our food supply chain, Zafar, this is crazy. The average farm to table in the United States is over 2,000 kilometers.
2000.
2,000.
Oh,
Yes.
you. I mean, this is. I mean, and how many hours to cover this distance? How many hours do you need?
Well, it's from California to Florida. Much of the food is growing on the coastline, and then they ship it across the country. It's insane. An average onion in the United States gets on 4 or 5 vehicles and is in the hands of 6 or 7 different people before it reaches your plate.
Oh man, this is long time, and again, a lot of it was a huge difference.
And
Okay,
a huge
what
cost. The
and a huge
expense
cost too? Yeah, yeah, just
is
because of the
incredible.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
What role do you see for veterans of great families or youth in this movement?
Oh, I love it. Everybody can play a role to organize effectively. The veterans got into service of their countries because they care, right? Because they've been told that you've got to serve your country. Well, I agree that it's good to serve your country. And the best way to serve our country is to start by creating your own self-reliance system and being healthy, right? God's way, nature's way, all his way. To be healthy is number one. And that means to not consume poisons. And there are many kinds of poisons, right? Here in the United States, all of the farmland is sprayed with glyphosate and Roundup. It's probably illegal in Pakistan to do so, and it should be, because it's insane to kill life like that. And then the most wicked poison of all is the poison of hatred, the poison of rage, the poison of fear. Is like drinking cyanide and expecting somebody else to die, right? Let go of all the rage, all the pride, all the hatred, all the envy. Let go of all of that, and stand in the presence of God, of the creator, of Allah. Feel the energy, the frequency, the vibration of the creator, and then be guided through love and service. And then when we allow ourselves to be guided with the intention of spreading joy and love and service, then we just flow with life, and it's beautiful.
My goodness, I mean, your each reply it keeps. It keeps me word. I don't have no words to thank you for so superb thinking you have for each and everything. And since I'm kicking off a global abundance of summit in Pakistan in next April 2026, can you come to Karachi again?
Oh man, I tell you what, right now, with the state of the world, I want to be right here building land. But I can come by video. I would be honored, and I would be so thankful if you would invite me in, and then I will give a tour, right, of our
Yeah,
land,
yeah,
right?
sure, sure.
I
I love to see. I love to see.
Yeah. Yeah.
Get us a
And
tour and
yeah.
with comments too.
Yeah.
Wow. Yes, show us your forms, please. If you,
Yes,
I
okay.
mean, if it's easy for you and if there's no training,
Yes.
abundance of renewable energy resources, solar panel are there. Wow,
Yep,
you
solar
are an
panels.
abundant person, Jim.
Yes.
Yeah,
And over there,
great.
you can see some of the bigger trees. On the other side of these houses, there's a lot more food forest. And then over here, there's a pond surrounded by food forest.
Ah,
Yep.
it-
And
it-
here's a lake that is surrounded by life. And so, yeah, and when we do the thing, I can be in a different location here, and we could walk through the different food forest elements, and you could see how things work together. Like, we have ground cover, we have plants like perennial peanut and sunshine mimosa that create a beautiful blanket of flowers on the ground, and they only grow up about that tall. And those plants are also nitrogen fixers. So those plants grow in bad areas, and they actually heal the soil.
oh my goodness, you've got all solutions right from ground to the people, and you got problem. You fix mosquitoes too, not to come in. That's amazing. And how do you have some like plants like mother-in-law tongue or like snake plants? Marigold or like snake repellent plants in your
We
garden
do.
too.
Yes. In fact, I'm learning all the time. There are hundreds of thousands of different species of food producing and medicine producing plants and functional plants. And I know like a tiny little bit, right? So every day I'm learning, like what you just referred to. I don't know those plants, or I might have them here, but you're saying there's a snake repellent plant. What is that one?
Yeah, I mean, one the snake repellent plant. I mean, there the name is different in different areas. In your area, people call it mother-in-law's tongue. It's like
Yeah.
tongue huge like this one, and it's
Yeah.
like snake. And do you know this one is oxygen factory. I mean, it's somebody snoring like this just because they got difficulty while sleeping in breathing. So when you just plant that they are indoor plants rather, snake
Yeah.
repellent. I mean that's the name of the plant is snake plant. It's like snake.
Wow.
And it comes in different colors. I mean, it's in or it comes like if you see mustard colors in there, green is there, parrot green color is there, and there is yellow gold. It's beautiful one. And then there is another one. Marigold is another snake repellent plant. And even your what you call this lemongrass. That's not only mosquito repellent plant, but this snake they repel snakes too.
Yeah.
And there could be more other because I know just because I am also I have a lot of love for nature like you do. So I believe that we can cut down our air conditioning cost with plants. I mean,
Yes.
let's cover our roof with what you call these as you are growing also that grapes, and there are other lot. I mean, and I love the idea that each fence in the world should be a fruity fence. It should not be other fence. That's I love
Yeah.
the idea. I mean, this is amazing, and I see you do not like lawns and stuff. You say every it should be producing something to eat, some fruit, some vegetable. That's amazing idea. This is crazy to have acres and acres of land producing nothing. I mean that's thanklessness and this being disgruntled to the nature. Amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you. And my
Yep.
next question is, how can someone watching right now take their first step towards living in harmony with nature?
I love it. Well, we have a group of people on an entity called originsreclaimed.org. So it's originsreclaimed.org. And what we are doing is we are coming together to organize effectively to share information freely. So we have all the solutions that are needed. It's just a matter of getting those solutions into the hearts and minds of everybody around the world who wants to be part of the solution. So originsreclaimed.org is a nonprofit where we are sharing all of these solutions. And then we are going to be airing a feature film this summer. And I have such a strong, joyful feeling about this film. I expect this film will change the world because the film lays out in great detail the contrast between a place of abundance and a place led by governmente and the military industrial complex. And the contrast is stunning. We are talking about abundance and solutions and love and joy and service. The military industrial complex is run on scarcity and division. And so we are showing the step-by-step solution next to the problem. So it's solution, problem, solution, problem, solution, problem. And it ends at the end of the film with the solution. You know, there's a quote by Victor Hugo. He said, "There is one thing stronger than all of the armies of the world, and that is an idea whose time has come." God's design, all his design, nature is the idea whose time has come.
Wow. Okay. One book that has changed your life.
Yes. I have many. There was one called, I'll give a couple. Think and Grow Rich, right?
Wow.
Napoleon Hill wrote, he was commissioned to study the most successful business people and influencers in the world back about 100 years ago or 80 years ago. And he wrote a book called Think and Grow Rich. And in this book, his final deduction is whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. Now, that is a powerful statement. If we sit with that statement, whatever my mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. Well, then if that's the case, I'm going to test it out. So I started testing it out with things like wrestling and like earning money and like creating abundance. And I've found his statements to be completely true. So what do we want to collectively conceive and believe? What I believe that we want to collectively believe is that we have a world without war. How about a world where all of the kids have access to healthy food and water? How about a world where instead of mass extinction, we have an explosion of life? How about a world where instead of depopulation being the agenda, stewardship becomes the agenda, and then everything balances out beautifully, right? That's the way. And then another book that blew my mind and helped me understand and understand people is a book by this guy called David Hawkins. And he wrote a book called Power versus Force. Power is God and nature and our creator, right? Force is the military industrial complex and the corporate system trying to force us to do what they want us to do, right? Power always beats force over time. And we are that power when we step in Allah's grace and God's grace. When we step in and be the servants of joy and love and things like this, then all of a sudden there's a flow to our actions, and we don't have to try anymore. We don't have to struggle or fight or effort. We just allow and flow, and that's where the grace is.
Wow, Jim, I love the way you utter Allah. Allah is beautiful, and you are amazing, man. Where have you been? Come on, I'm so late finding you. I mean, I've been into guilt right now. I'm so late in finding you. Okay, favorite plant to grow and why?
Oh gosh, I like sweet potatoes. If there was one plant that could absolutely create food security in a community in just a couple of years, sweet potatoes. They grow so abundantly, and you can eat the leaves, the stems, and the potatoes. They become good ground cover. They're incredibly delicious and nutritious. And I could take a vine of in fact, I did this about 2.5 years ago. A guy came named Mike, and he wanted to start growing food. So I gave him a bunch of plants. I gave him a sweet potato, a vine, just a vine on it. I said, hey, roll this up and put this in the ground. He came back to a barter and exchange event that we had here. And he said, Jim, I've already grown over 100 pounds of sweet potatoes from that one vine. But the best part is about 25 of my friends are now also growing sweet potatoes from that one vine.
Amazing, amazing. Okay, what would you grow if you had just 10 square feet of land?
It depends. If I was a chef and I wanted to have a variety of herbs, I would with 10 square feet, you can have easily 10 different types of basil and rosemary and thyme and mint and all sorts of things. All right. Oregano and so on and so on. Cilantro. On a small space, you can grow a lot of herbs. If I was looking to feed my family, then I would do a box about 2 feet deep with good soil, and I would have sweet potatoes in there.
Wow. Okay, your message to someone feeling hopeless about the
Ah,
planet, about the planet.
that,
Sorry.
yes. First of all, I don't grow anything. I don't know how to grow anything. God, nature, Allah knows how to do that. Instead, I simply trust, and I plant seeds. And I don't know what I'm doing half the time. Like the other day, my daughter and I, we had a bunch of different seeds from different plants. And we grabbed like a little jar full of seeds. And there was probably 20 or 30 different types of seeds in there. And we walked around. I give her handfuls. I said, okay, spread this. We literally we put down a row of good soil with a little mulch on top, and we threw in all these seeds. And maybe 20% of them actually germinated, right? But now we have a ton of food, right? The seeds cost us a few dollars, right? Maybe $5. Now we have we'll probably have $300 or $400 worth of food from that $5 investment, which was joyful, within 3 or 4 months.
Oh my goodness. I mean, I don't want to leave the show, honestly. But I mean, I've just struck my time limit. Any message to the planet?
It's time right now. It's time to resolve your trauma, right? Resolve the things that bring you, the thoughts and the programs that bring you to a state of fear and anxiety and pride and envy and rage and hatred, right? Resolve that first and foremost. Go into it deeply and breathe and ask for repentance, ask for service, ask for love. That's the number one step. Once we become clear and release our traumas, then everything else will flow beautifully.
This is Global Abundance Organization. Advise me, go global.
Go global. That's it. That's how we win, is when every kid around the planet has access to clean water and healthy food. So let's do it. This is the idea whose time has come, stronger than all of the armies of the world. It's time to create the new model that makes this current government model obsolete. And the new model is really the oldest model in the good books.
Okay. What if I request you to become the global ambassador for Global Abundance Organization for food and security? Would you accept?
I am honored to serve. Yes.
Thank you so much, and please don't leave the room after I go off air. I want to talk a little more if you have some time. Okay, see you.
Okay,
And
Zafar.
see you in next episode very soon because I want to feature all of your projects. Whenever you have time, I want to feature you. I
All
I
right.
won't be letting you go. Thank you so much. See you.